Shaun Snider Guitar Studio. Hi guys, my name's Shaun and welcome to my video number 3. Now if you guys have been following, in my last video we looked at warm-up techniques for improving our speed and just our overall guitar technique, and that we looked at the blues scale. Now in this video what we're going to look at is how to use those skills to make our own solos and our own sound, which is called improvising. Now we're going to use the same scale we looked at last time, which is the blues scale. And why I like the blues scale is it's a pretty cool, bit of a funky sounding scale straight off the bat. You don't have to do much to it and it already sounds good. So it's a great starting point. Okay, now if you haven't played it before, it starts on, well, I'm going to start in the key of A, so it's on the 5th fret. Okay, assign every finger a fret, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 1, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4. So it's already got a good sound. I didn't really do anything from how it naturally sounds. I'm just going to play a quick solo now in the key of A, and 12-bar blues. Now I'm going to use about 4 or 5 different ideas, and then later I'm going to break those down and not only explain them, but explain how you can take the blues scale and create your own licks, which is really what it's about. So I'll just start the backing now. Okay, so I really wasn't doing too much there. I was just incorporating a few different ideas and then changing my phrasing around. Now, a bit of theory before we start is a root note or a tonic is, say this was in the key of A. I started on A, so the strongest note therefore in this is A. Okay, now you've got that in the blues scale, that note occurs 3 times. You've got here, and there. So it's 5th fret on the E, 7th fret on the D, and 5th fret there. Or if we think about it, because we're talking fingers normally with the blues scale, 1st finger on E, 3rd finger on the D, and 1st finger on the bottom E. Now, the purpose of music, really, if you break it down, if something's in the key of A, whether you're playing lead or whether you're playing chords, it always wants to lead back to that A. So it's always, no matter what you do, where you go, you always want to come back and land on. Or, I can do different licks. It's not finished until we go back to the root note or the tonic. So keeping that in mind, that will save you a lot of time, and it's a big mistake of mine not knowing this, because you spend a lot of time fluffing around. Sometimes it sounds really good, sometimes it sounds pretty average. So if you are hitting that root note, so in the key of A, if you're hitting this one, that one there, it's going to sound good. Go away from a bit and come back. So you always want to be smashing that root note as much as you can. So now we'll look at some licks that incorporate that. Okay, first one we'll look at is, so in the key of A, so I'm starting on the 5th fret on G. Okay, my 1st finger there. Okay, I'm going to play G, and then play my 3rd finger on the D string on 7. It's a 2-note lick. So notice I'm moving my finger, that's called vibrato. There is no such thing as too much vibrato. Vibrato makes the world go round. Okay, now what I'm doing there with my first finger, it's called a quarter tone bend, which means I pull it back, but only just, so it just gets a dirty sound. Instead of saying like, I get a thumb here to pivot. Okay, now what I love about some of my favourite guitarists, like Jimi Hendrix, they could play the same lick countless times in a row, but it would take a different form. So you want to try and play around with that lick, rather than always try and just do different lick, different lick. Do the same lick, but change your phrasing, stretch it out, do it long, then do it slow. Do one note long, one note quick. So like, same thing, but it sounds different, and you're getting more mileage out of that lick. Because it's using the root note, it's going to sound good. Okay, after we've done that, do it twice. Now I'm going to do this, called a slurp. Drop my third finger down, so now it's on the G string, on 7. Now, those are the notes on the G string. I'm going to slide from 7 up to 8. Remember that slides, I'm only picking the first, and now slide back. So that's the slurp. So 7, 8, 7. Put those together, you've got Now, I don't know if you can hear it, but it always sounds complete because we keep going bam, boom, landing on that root note, which is where it wants to end up. You play the same lick a million different ways and it will sound different. Another one we'll look at, so hammering on. If you don't know hammering on, I'll play on the D string, 5 to 7. Okay, now watch my pick here. Instead of going playing both notes, that's what we call hammer on. So the key is you have to be quick, just punch it on there. Okay, now that's all based around this note here, which is our root note, our tonic. So that's all going to be pretty stable stuff. Alright, the next lick we're going to look at is called a trill. So if you got used to hammer-ons, now we're going to look at pull-offs. So this is a hammer-on, watch my pick. Okay, a pull-off is just the reverse of that. I've got both fingers on, I'm going to play the 7 and flick it off. Hammer on, pull off. Okay, now a trill is just a continuation of doing that, playing the first note and just letting it go. Now it sounds quite hard. It's not totally easy, but it's definitely not as hard as it sounds. So it's just 2 notes. Now, because we're doing that on the root note, that's going to sound really strong as well. The A's there, I keep going A, 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 A. So it's going to sound great. Whereas if, I mean, you can do this on any, if you remember how the blues scale goes. So I could do a trill on any of those. But the strongest one is going to be the one that ends on the tonic. Yeah. Okay, now we're going to do those notes again, hammer on, pull off. So my favourite little rock rundowns is here. So that's just doing the scale backwards, but we, instead of just going, I did a hammer on, pull off. Now to add a bit of character to those last 2 notes, instead of using my pinky, I'm going to use my third finger. That. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another quarter tone bend. Now these might sound like they're actually a big bend, but it's quite small. On this note here, 8th on the E. See, I'll just twist it up so it's a bit dirty. Okay, so if you kind of, now I used this one here, this one here. I haven't even used this one yet, but you've all got those stable licks. So if you play around with those kind of ideas, different speeds and different phrasing, you get some great ideas and they work very well. And that's a great starting point for your improvising. Alright, so that's everything today, so give that a go and I'll catch you next time. Alright, see ya!